Okay. So it felt like, you know, that internal dialogue in your head? I felt like I was that internal dialogue in someone's head. And I wasn't able to do anything. Like, I couldn't control anything. I could just observe because it's time is an illusion, but it was like it had already happened, so I couldn't do anything about it. Um, and I was part of the reason I. This leads to my next point. If you want a tarot reading from me, this is my only account. Message me. You can also hit me up on Instagram at BunnyBunsTarot8 or yahoo.com, BunnyBunsTarot at yahoo.com. I'm probably going to have to like make more emails. But anyway, actually, I shouldn't have said that because then people are going to make emails. Here is where you should message me. Because I'm trying to get my money right so I can go overseas so I can like confirm a lot of these things. Because I started realizing that um, God purposely put so many Easter eggs in here because I want to go overseas and talk to people because the only people who would know any of these situations would be the people in those rooms or that one person and me, I guess. So here I was being a sexist psychopath, um, and just going on this rant because I could tell that what I was thinking and saying wasn't even necessarily my opinion. It was like the stuff that my previous past life, of course, my father had told me was right. Like women need to know their place. They're just there for child rearing. They're just there to pop out babies. Like their opinions don't matter. We're like the best things ever. Because I had this like, I was told that there was this like hierarchy of just like God, then these people, then us, and which makes no sense. And so it ended up giving me quite a lot of like narcissistic tendencies, or him narcissistic tendencies, because I was just being absolutely awful to my wife in this past life regression. And I didn't even want to be saying or doing things. I really wanted to go and apologize to her and console her and everything, but I just had my father's voice in my head saying like, no, she's the problem. She should be behaving like this. These women need to know their place. Like she really needs to just like buck up. She just needs to buck up and buck up and smile. And so here I am, like horrified in the back of this man's mind, like what the heck? Like what is happening right now? Um, and so this whole scene plays out, and I was kind of I was pruning myself in the mirror, I was like pruning myself in my reflection. And he had this weird feeling of like deja vu, which now I know is me being like, oh my god, it's you. So then I'm back in my kitchen, absolutely freaking out, like on crutches. Like I went to the restroom, came back, and I have studied like mental health and psychology and everything. So I immediately started looking up like schizophrenia and everything because I was like, what is this? Like this doesn't make any sense, and none of it fit. Like none of it fit. And then I was like, no, this is I know that this was a past life regression because I was when I was calming down a little bit, I was like, his face. Why was I like, it's you? Like I recognize him. And then I remembered when I was in high school, I was in the library and typical library nerd, just chilling alone, and I for some reason got this in my head that I needed to look up people who died on my birth on the day that I was born. And time is an illusion, so I don't think everybody who is reincarnated on Earth, I don't think it's like the exact time that their previous self passed away. I think it just needed to be that needed to happen in my situation. Um, because I was looking up all these names, I just remembered this in high school, and one name stood out in particular, and I had no idea who it was. The name was just very like I couldn't stop reading it like over and over again. And then I closed the book up and I turned my the computer off because I was like, I'm reading something and on the computer at the same time. I don't remember, but and I went to class, and then I was so obsessed. Like the next day, I went and was like, let me look up who this man was. So I looked at it, looked who it was, and like looked at a picture of him, and that was it, and that was all. Okay. And then I realized the reason I was so obsessed with this man is that was me. And so now, like, or at the time, like a few years ago, I looked him up again, and I realized his exact day and time of death were my day and time of birth. And so I was like, okay, like this is who I was, like this is why I was obsessed. And so I was like, then there has to be some form of documentation for this. So I looked up that day because there were a lot of pictures being taken that day, and I looked it up, and then I saw the pictures. Like I saw my reflection, like what he looked like. I saw my wife. I could tell that she had been crying too. Like if you look closely in the pictures, her eyes are all swollen, and she looks like she's just giving a up. She looks miserable and is just giving this beautiful fake smile. Um, and I was like, Lord, like this is crazy. Like, so I had to really process and absorb this and pray on it and everything for the longest time. But then it's like after that, the floodgates were kind of just open. Everybody has these abilities. I don't like that's gonna have to be another conversation. Like I'm not special. There's there's so much to being a human being that we're like lied to about. There's so much about spirituality that we're like lied to about because we all have like intuitive abilities. It is what it is, and once you kind of start waking up to things, it's like you can't stop. um and this happens with people with psychic abilities a lot. If they get injured, have something very traumatic happen, or they like break a bone, you're forced to you're probably going to be alone and on bed rest and stuff like I was. And so you have no choice but to sit and think and absorb and really like you don't have very much outside stimulation. And on top of that, my bed rest it went right into COVID. So I literally went from like bed rest to quarantine. So I had nothing but time, and that was the time that God was like, past life regression. Like you need to think about this stuff. You need to understand your sins, girl. That was what was happening. Um, and so for months after that, like periodically, any past life regressions that I've had, I don't count them as real unless I was like awake and like standing or like walking around or something. Like if I have dreams and stuff, I'll keep it in mind, but I don't like count it. Um, but they just kept popping up. And at first they were like bits and pieces. And over like the last few this was in like 2018, 2019, and it's 2025 right now. And so throughout the years, it's like these past life regressions, I'll keep going to the same past life regressions, but it'll expand. More will happen. I'll pick up more things. I'll see things, or I'll see new aspects to it. So I like understand different concepts that I think anyway. So through these, I will say this. I registered that the reason I was getting shown these certain times in my life is because all that was happening in my past life mirrored my childhood, which also mirrored the issues I was having with the state, suing the state, having to be in a legal battle, and being in police academy, being assaulted in police academy. All of it lined up. All of these lessons I had to learn I had to learn the same lesson in different ways and make up for things that I did in my past life during my childhood and during police academy. And I don't want to give like much detail on the past life regressions because again, I really want to go and confirm all this stuff to myself. And for to these people and give out the apologies that I need to give out. But I noticed that the reason that I was going through these legal issues is because my sexist self destroyed my wife in the court of law. Like, I used my power, I used my influence and everything to, because she wanted to divorce me, rightfully so, because I was awful to her. I like beat her. It was terrible. It just used her for breeding. Um, and she wanted a divorce, which she needed one. Um, Also, I was in love with. Never mind. Never mind. Okay, so I used all my power and influence and everything to destroy her in the court of law. I took her kids. I took the kids. Everything. I turned her friends and family against her. I turned society against her. I did whatever I could do to make my ego feel better. And so this is why I was in this situation with the legal situations with Police Academy, and having so many people just treat me like I was the worst scum of below earth, even though I was the one who was assaulted and I was the one who was getting abused, and all I wanted was physical therapy and rehabilitation and to be treated like a human being, and to not have these just crazy psycho racist people being rude to me. It's because I had to suffer for my sins and learn the lessons. Like, it paralleled to an insane degree, which I'll get into later. Also, I was not, in my past life, really was not the best father. Like, could be worse, but, like, really wasn't good, which led to many things. And so during this, I started realizing that, because I couldn't tell then, but now I could, when I was having these past life regressions and interacting with my children, I was looking at them, looking in their eyes, like in the back of my head, looking in their eyes, looking at how they were dressed, looking at just like side glances they were giving each other, everything. And I was realizing it's because this is the stuff that I had to deal with a child, like I had to deal with as a child. This is the stuff that my parents like had me face. Like, these are all these situations that I had to deal with that needed to get healed, and these generational curses needed to get broken. So when myself, if I end up having children, that the generational curse won't continue. Um, it's already becoming a long video, so I'll leave this here. And sorry if this is a ramble and everything. It's all over the place because, like, I feel all over the place. I feel like I'm living in between two worlds because I'm always having past life regressions. But I'll leave it at that. And then, yeah, subscribe to my channel.